Word, yesterday. Description refers to the day before today. It indicates a time in the past and is used to describe events or actions that happened on that previous day. It's a simple way to specify a day that has already passed. Phrases of example. First, yesterday is but a memory, tomorrow is a mystery. Second, yesterday I was clever, today I am wise. Third, yesterday afternoon, I saw him walking down the street. Word, shareholder. Description, a person who owns shares in a company and therefore has a financial stake and certain rights. It signifies ownership and participation in a company's success or failure, often entitling them to dividends or voting rights. Phrases of example. First, the corporation's shareholder base had grown considerably since its inception. Second, he felt a duty to his shareholders, a responsibility to deliver results. Third, the activist shareholder was challenging the board's direction, demanding change. Word, intake. Description denotes the quantity or amount of something that is taken in, absorbed, or consumed. It can refer to the absorption of air, food, or information. Often used in scientific, medical, or business contexts to quantify something entering a system. Phrases of example. First, increased sugar intake is linked to a greater risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Second, the daily intake of essential nutrients is crucial for maintaining health. Third, the company's intake of raw materials increased significantly this quarter. Word, layout. Description refers to the arrangement of elements on a page or in a space. It describes how things are organized and positioned, often to create a visually appealing or functional design. It's used in contexts like website design or architectural planning. Phrases of example. First, the layout of the rooms was as unsettling as the story itself. Second, the overall layout of the report was surprisingly easy to follow. Third, the magazine's layout was sophisticated, blending text and images seamlessly. Word, hope. Description, to want something to happen or be true. It expresses a feeling of wanting a positive outcome. It conveys a desire or expectation for a favorable result or situation. Phrases of example. First, I hope you find happiness in your new life. Second, we must never lose hope, even in the darkest of times. Third, I hope that I can be the kind of person you want me to be. Word, shore. Description, the land along a sea or lake. It's the boundary between the water and the land. It can refer to a beach, coastline, or the edge of a body of water. It's often used to describe a place for recreation or a view. Phrases of example. First, the beach was empty, a silver shore reflecting the moonlight. Second, we watched the storm surge recede, leaving debris scattered along the shore. Third, the ship ran aground on a hidden shore, its fate sealed by the relentless tide. Word, seize. Description means to take something quickly and forcefully, often illegally or unexpectedly. It can refer to physical possession or taking control of a situation or opportunity. It implies a sudden and decisive action, often without permission. Phrases of example. First, he seized the opportunity, and his life changed forever. Second, they sought to seize the city, believing it would bring them glory. Third, one must seize the moment, for time waits for no one. Word, cocktail. Description, a mixed alcoholic drink, typically containing spirits, liqueurs, and other ingredients. It can also refer to a social gathering or an awkward or uncomfortable situation, though this is less common. Phrases of example. First, his hands moved with practiced grace, mixing a potent cocktail of wit and cynicism. Second, she ordered a complicated cocktail, a mix of aspiration and disillusionment. Third, the bar was filled with the clinking of glasses and the intoxicating aroma of cocktails. Word, war. Description refers to a conflict between different countries or groups of people, usually involving violence. It describes a state of armed struggle and hostility. It is used when discussing battles, fighting, and disagreement on a large scale. Phrases of example. First, all quiet on the Western Front, but the war rages on within. Second, there is no uglier Englishing than the Englishing of war. Third, war is a terrible thing, but it is a necessary evil. Word, musical. Description describes something related to music or having a pleasing, melodic quality. It can refer to a person's talent for music or something possessing a harmonious or rhythmic character. It's often used to describe sounds or performances. Phrases of example. First, the music was a musical stream to the soul. Second, the rain felt musical, a soft drumming on the roof. Third, a musical life, a warm home and a good conscience. Word, prove. Description means to demonstrate the truth or existence of something. It involves presenting evidence or facts to show that something is real or correct. It signifies establishing something beyond doubt, often through logical reasoning or empirical data. Phrases of example. First, I will prove that I am worthy of your respect. Second, you cannot prove what you do not know. Third, it's difficult to prove anything, isn't it? Word, shoot. Description means to fire a weapon or to take a photograph. It can also mean to propel or cause something to move quickly. It's often used in phrases like shoot a film or shoot an arrow. Phrases of example. First, he watched her shoot past, a fleeting glimpse of lost grace. Second, they would shoot the beast, and then they would be safe. Third, he aimed to shoot for the stars, a reckless ambition. Word, 20. Description represents the number 20. It's a basic count and used to express quantity, age, or position. It's a common number used in everyday conversations and simple calculations. Phrases of example. First, I have $20 in my pocket. Second, 20 years from now, you're not going to regret the chances you took. Third, he was 20. Word, endeavor. Description refers to a serious and determined attempt to achieve something. It suggests a sustained effort, often requiring significant resources and commitment. It's used to describe a purposeful undertaking or project demanding considerable exertion. Phrases of example. First, each endeavor brought forth a new horizon, demanding further exploration. Second, the relentless pursuit of his endeavor shaped his very being. Third, his every endeavor aimed to unearth a hidden truth. Word, gift. Description, something given freely to someone without payment. It can be a physical object or a talent. It expresses kindness, generosity, or a token of appreciation. It is often given on special occasions. Phrases of example. First, a gift is a dangerous thing to give. Second, the greatest gift one can give is the gift of oneself. Third, the true gift of friendship is having someone who knows you as you are. Word, later. Description indicates something will happen after a specific time or event. It's a simple way to show sequence, meaning at a time following this. It's often used in conversations and simple instructions to show what comes next. Phrases of example. First, I shall return later, and with me, 100 times 100 men. Second, we're going to be late. Let's hurry, or we'll have to wait later. Third, see you later, alligator. Word, schedule. Description, a plan or list that shows when and where things will happen. It outlines events, appointments, or tasks in a specific order and time. It's used to organize activities and keep track of commitments. Phrases of example. First, my schedule is like a river, always flowing. Second, we had a schedule, a routine. Third, the schedule is packed, but we're getting it done. Word, overnight. Description means happening or occurring very quickly, usually within a single night. It can describe a sudden change or development, or indicate staying somewhere for just one night. It's often used to emphasize speed or brevity. Phrases of example. First, the change was overnight, almost imperceptible at first. Second, the city became unrecognizable overnight, shrouded in a strange, ethereal glow. Third, overnight, the rules shifted, and the world turned on its head. Word, profession. Description refers to a paid occupation, typically one that requires special training or education. It signifies a person's career or vocation, often implying a degree of skill and responsibility. It's more formal than simply saying job. Phrases of example. First, it is not easy to choose a profession. Second, my profession is the only one I can truly enjoy. Third, a soldier's profession is a dangerous one. Word, carbon. Description, a chemical element, a basic building block of organic compounds. It's a nonmetal found in many forms and is essential for life. It's frequently discussed in relation to climate change and emissions. Phrases of example. First, the carbon footprint of modern life is undeniably large. Second, the carbon cycle is a crucial element of Earth's ecosystem. Third, the carbon's inherent properties made it perfect for the invention. Word, road. Description, a way for vehicles or people to travel between places. It's a path, often made of pavement, connecting different locations. It can be long or short, straight or winding. Phrases of example. First, the road went on to the place I was going. Second, the long road ahead seemed endless. Third, he chose the open road, seeking freedom. Word, explanation. Description means a statement or description that makes something clear. It's a way of making something easier to understand by providing details or reasons. It can clarify a situation, an idea, or an action. Phrases of example. First, she offered an explanation, full of sincerity and hope. Second, there is a simple explanation for everything, and when you find it, you will not be afraid. Third, he gave a reasonable explanation, but she remained skeptical. Word, fifth. Description indicates the position of something in a sequence, specifically the fourth position. It's used to show order, like the fifth day of the week or my fifth book. It helps to specify a place in a series. Phrases of example. First, she lived on the fifth floor, overlooking the bustling city below. Second, it was the fifth day of the quest, and the nights were weary. Third, he finished the race in fifth place, a respectable result. Word, characterize. Description means to describe the essential features or qualities of something. It involves highlighting defining characteristics, often in a formal or analytical context. It's used to portray a person, thing, or situation through its key traits. Phrases of example. First, their quietude characterized them, a gentle presence in a bustling world. Second, his charm, a carefully constructed facade, characterized his public persona. Third, the prevailing melancholy characterized the atmosphere of the ancient manor. Word, wash. Description means to clean something using liquid, typically water and soap. It describes the action of removing dirt or grime from a surface. It can refer to cleaning clothes, dishes, or even oneself. Phrases of example. First, I will wash the dishes after dinner. Second, the rain began to wash the dust from the leaves. Third, I'm going to wash away all my troubles with a long bath. Word, apart. Description means to separate or move away from something or someone. It can describe physical distance, emotional detachment, or the process of analyzing something by breaking it down into parts. It implies a sense of isolation or differentiation. Phrases of example. First, he tore the letter apart, and the pieces fell to the floor like snow. Second, things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Third, you can't be with people and not be with them, all at once. You have to choose to be apart or together. Word, sponsorship. Description refers to financial or other support provided to an event or organization in return for promotion. It describes a business relationship where one entity provides resources and another receives visibility or benefits. Phrases of example. First, the sponsorship was a lifeline for the struggling theater company. Second, his sponsorship of the arts was well. Third, securing sponsorship proved to be a crucial step forward. Word propaganda. Description refers to information, often biased or misleading, used to promote a political cause or point of view. It aims to influence public opinion, typically through mass media, and can be used by governments or organizations. Phrases of example. First, the most brilliantly conceived propaganda is only a piece of inspired nonsense. Second, propaganda is not lies, but it must be treated as such. Third, they used propaganda to convince the people to fight. Word it. Description refers to something previously mentioned or easily identified. It replaces a specific thing to avoid repetition, allowing for smoother and more concise communication. It is a pronoun used to refer back to something already known. Phrases of example. First, it is a far, far better thing that I do than I have ever done. It is my duty. Second, it is not a thing of beauty that I wish to sing, but a thing of truth. Third, it is our responsibility to protect the earth, and it is our future. Word cook. Description means to prepare food by heating it. It describes the process of making meals, often involving ingredients and using heat to transform them. It is a common and basic activity related to food preparation. Phrases of example. First, I will cook you a dinner. Second, she learned to cook, as all girls must. Third, the cook is a very useful man. Word reservation. Description refers to an arrangement to have something, like a table at a restaurant or a hotel room. It indicates a secured place or item, often needing advance booking. It's used when confirming something is set aside for you. Phrases of example. First, I have a reservation for 2 at 8 o'clock. Second, the hotel reservation was canceled due to unforeseen circumstances. Third, a reservation of rights, of course. Word after. Description indicates a time or order that something happens. It can show what comes next or what happens following an event. It's used to describe sequence or follow something else in time or space. Phrases of example. First, the memory of a man's life is what remains after he is gone. Second, he went after the truth, but he found a lie. Third, after a while, you just get used to it, and you stop being a person. Word trophy. Description, a tangible symbol of achievement, often awarded for winning a competition or reaching a significant goal. It represents victory, excellence, and recognition of accomplishment. It's more than just an object. It signifies dedication and success. Phrases of example. First, the gilded trophy felt cold and hollow in his hands. Second, a trophy of war, a testament to a life of conflict. Third, the trophy room was a mausoleum of past glories. Word vary. Description, used to intensify an adjective or adverb, indicating a high degree of a quality. It expresses a greater intensity than simply stating the adjective or adverb alone. It's common, but can sometimes be replaced for more precise language. Phrases of example. First, it was a very cold and bitter night. Second, she was very much a woman of her time. Third, he felt very little, and it wasn't a pleasant sensation. Word 100. Description represents a quantity of 100 items. It's a basic number used to count or measure things. It's frequently used in everyday conversations about prices, amounts, or numbers of objects. Phrases of example. First, there are 102 varieties of tea. Second, 100,000 soldiers marched into the city. Third, the population numbered close to 100. Word cap. Description refers to a covering for the head, often worn for warmth or style. It can also describe the limit or maximum of something, like a limit on spending or production. It indicates a covering or a maximum amount. Phrases of example. First, he pulled his cap low, shielding his eyes from the harsh sun. Second, the pirate wore a weathered cap, a mark of his daring exploits. Third, she tipped her cap as she passed, a gesture of playful respect. Word deep. Description describes something extending far from one side to the other, not shallow. It can refer to physical depth, like a deep pool, or abstract depth, such as a deep feeling or a deep understanding. Phrases of example. First, the sea is deep and full of secrets. Second, her eyes were deep and full of untold stories. Third, he felt a deep sadness in his heart. Word implement. Description means to put a plan or system into effect. It signifies carrying out something that was previously decided or designed. It often refers to putting policies, strategies, or procedures into action. Phrases of example. First, they implemented a new strategy for the project. Second, the policy was implemented without consultation with the workers. Third, the company implemented a plan to reduce waste. Word faction. Description: a group of people with different views from others in the same organization. It suggests a division or a smaller, often dissenting, group within a larger entity. It often carries a connotation of conflict or disagreement. Phrases of example. First, the shifting factional loyalties made the peace negotiations fragile. Second, his allegiance to a specific faction offered little security. Third, the faction's rhetoric was increasingly divisive and dangerous. Word pose. Description means to present or put forward an idea, question, or problem for discussion or consideration. It can also mean to assume or take on a particular position or posture. It suggests offering something for evaluation or displaying an attitude. Phrases of example. First, he would pose for hours, lost in his own world of imagined grandeur. Second, she would pose a question, a challenge to the status quo. Third, the artist would pose a figure, capturing a fleeting moment in time. Word basement. Description: a lower level of a building, often completely or partially below ground. It's typically used for storage, utilities, or living space. The term describes a space beneath the main floor of a building. Phrases of example. First, there was a smell of damp earth and decay in the basement. Second, he was a man who lived his life in a basement. Third, the whole world was a basement of shadows and whispers. Word software. Description refers to programs or applications used on computers or other digital devices. It's the set of instructions that tells a device what to do, enabling it to perform specific tasks and functions for the user. Phrases of example. First, the software was a masterpiece of engineering. Second, the new software allows for complex simulations. Third, the outdated software caused unforeseen consequences. Word ethic. Description: a set of moral principles that guide a person's behavior or the operating of an organization. It refers to beliefs about what is right and wrong, often related to professional conduct or a particular field. Phrases of example. First, the ethic of the revolution is not a code, but a spirit. Second, her ethic was to always do what was right, no matter the cost. Third, a man's ethic should be determined by his actions, not his words. Word particularly. Description means especially or notably. It highlights a specific instance or detail from a group or situation. It emphasizes something is more important or relevant than others. It's used to draw attention to a specific point. Phrases of example. First, he was particularly good at disappearing. Second, she was particularly fond of the color green. Third, he was particularly interested in birds. Word guard. Description refers to a person or thing that protects something or someone from harm. It can be a physical person watching over a place or a protective measure. It's used when discussing safety, security, or defense against potential threats. Phrases of example. First, they marched with a guard of soldiers. Second, the forest was a lonely guard, silent and deep. Third, a knight would always guard the princess. Word, anymore. Description means no further quantity or amount. It indicates that something has stopped or is finished. It's used to negate or limit something that was previously happening or being offered. Phrases of example. First, you don't have to be a hero anymore. You can just be a man. Second, I can't stand it anymore. I'm going to scream. Third, he wasn't a child anymore. He was a man with a past. Word, increase. Description means a rise or growth in quantity or amount. It describes something getting bigger or more numerous. It's used to talk about a rise in numbers, size, or intensity, often in a positive way. Phrases of example. First, the increase of one's income has never brought happiness. Second, there was an increase in the number of refugees seeking shelter. Third, a gradual increase in the pressure showed the danger was growing. Word, housing. Description refers to accommodation or a place where someone lives. It can describe the buildings or structures providing shelter or the broader system of providing homes for people. It's often used in discussions about renting, owning, or affordable living. Phrases of example. First, the availability of affordable housing remains a critical challenge. Second, public housing projects were often plagued by neglect and despair. Third, finding suitable housing became her primary focus after the divorce. Word, save. Description means to protect from harm, loss, or destruction. It also means to store something for future use or to keep money. It implies an action taken to preserve something valuable or to avoid negative consequences. Phrases of example. First, I will save you from the dark. Second, I tried to save him, but it was too late. Third, you must save what is worth saving. Word, pass. Description means to move past or through something or to allow something to happen. It can describe movement, time elapsed, or granting permission for something to occur. It's often used in phrases like time passes or to pass a test. Phrases of example. First, time will pass and we will forget. Second, let the days pass as they may. Third, nothing lasts forever, so let's pass this time well.